Wednesday, January 11, 2017. This is the Government News Brief. In the news, Buxton to get new drainage pumps, model townhouse exhibition planned for May, and the government is moving to reduce the red tape affecting the import and export trade. Stay tuned for these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Renetta LaFleur. Here are the details. Better drainage is in store for Buxton on the east coast of Demerara with the installation of 3 new pumps. Delicia Haynes tells us more.
The residents of the village of Buxton can expect faster drainage of their community. Chief Executive Officer of the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Frederick Flats, says that a new pump station and 3 drainage pumps will complement a number of drainage and irrigation works that have started in the village.
It's designed to have 2 100 cubic pumping units, and so that's those 2 pumps, in addition to a pump that will be constructed by the Flood Risk Management Program that will be placed at the boundary between Vigilance and Friendship. So Buxton would actually have 3 pumping units, unlike what some other persons are guessing.
The NDIA, in the latter part of 2016, cleared outfall channels around the Buxton area. The channels were cleared up to help drain floodwaters that had accumulated on farmlands after heavy rains. Flats also explains that there was a breach at the Middlewalk Canal channel door, which allowed water to get into the drainage system. This has caused flooding in the area. Works are continuing to alleviate the flooding.
In addition to that, there's a program under the program we call RAID, Rural Agriculture Infrastructure Development Program, in which there will be all the drains in Buxton area will be excavated. The dams will be built. They would even be helping the farmers to clear some of the land, to plow the land. So there's a lot that will be done for Buxton during 2017.
Minister of Agriculture Noel Holder says the NDIA is working without bias to ensure that all areas along the East Coast are attended to so as to prevent flooding.
Now, certain villages, in our opinion, in the opinion of the coalition, were marginalized by the previous administration. Region 4 suffered very heavily during that period. And villages like Mocha, villages like Buxton, and on the Region 5, villages like Ithaca.
The report for the commencement of the construction of the pump station at Buxton has been submitted. Tenders for the project will soon be advertised. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
The third stage of the turnkey housing project has been initiated. Neola Damon has the details.
A model townhouse exhibition is planned for May. Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Valerie Adam Patterson, says that the model homes which will be displayed are targeted towards low-income, moderate, and middle-income earners.
This will be accomplished by organizing a display or exhibition, we call it, where we're going to have actual houses being built for the public view. This we hope to have done during the first week of May 2017. The range of housing solutions will target low, moderate, and middle income groups, young professionals, singles, etc., in keeping with the thrust of the APNUFC manifesto.
Minister Adam Patterson explains that the assigned developers will have the chance to display their building systems. The minister notes that the building materials suppliers are also invited to participate.
Developers will be assigned to lots in the area on which they will construct the house, which they will be allowed to sell after the exhibition to eligible persons on the CHNPA waiting list and pre-qualified for mortgages by the commercial banks. Developers who participate will also be given the opportunity to showcase their building systems, methodology for construction, and other features of home construction.
The minister says that the public will also be able to meet with developers, financial institutes, insurance companies, and home improvement companies. I'm Neola Damon for Government News Brief.
The Ministry of Social Protection is taking steps to prevent the spread of infectious diseases at the night shelter. More from Zanil Williams.
The night shelter recently introduced a system where homeless persons staying at the shelter would be checked for infectious diseases. Those found with such diseases will be housed in a separate section of the shelter. This is to protect the health of all persons using the shelter. Administrator for the night shelter, Sheila Veer-Sami, explains that the process is critical for the treatment of persons.
So now, in order for a person to get into the night shelter, they have to go and do a medical. And the medical requires that we need to know if they're a medical patient, which means they have diabetes, hypertension. We need to know if they have TB, and there are some other things we are looking for.
The administrator pointed out that many persons living on the pavement have tuberculosis, TB, and hypertension. There are 9 persons currently living at the night shelter with TB.
While it's a night shelter and everyone have the right to be here once a bed is available, we also have to take the necessary precaution to ensure that persons who come here do not openly and willingly invite unnecessary problems in here.
The administration also found that petty criminals are using the shelter as a hideout. Meanwhile, efforts are being made to improve conditions at the shelter. These include infrastructural works that are well underway, boosting the security system, building staff capacity, and providing more efficient medical services. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
The government is moving to reduce the red tape affecting the import and export processes, even as it tightens the integrity of the system. More in this Paul McAdam report.
The Ghana Revenue Authority is preparing to implement a United Nations-funded single-platform system to increase efficiency and drastically cut time for those doing business with the agency as government advances its Trusted Trader program. This program allows eligible businesses with good track records to conduct transactions and clear goods unhindered by bureaucratic hurdles. A feasibility study on the automated system for customs data, ASICUDA program, has started at the Ghana Revenue Authority. The new program will bring many benefits to the operations of the customs, says Comptroller Lancelot Wills.
It will reduce your economic costs of doing business. It will enhance the speed with which you expedite clearance of goods and so forth. And we're going to also see the introduction of the one owners are here, understand, of the WTO endorsed ongoing system of risk management. The blue system for those goods will be flagged for post-clearance audit, and the red requiring in-depth more examination, yellow less so, and the green as being flagged for trusted traders and persons.
Also meeting with wharf owners, shipping agents and customs brokers at the Ghana Revenue Authority's headquarters on Camp Street, Georgetown, was United Nations Conference for Trade and Administration Specialist Terence Leonard. He notes that Guyana has improved its business ranking for ease of doing business from 140 out of 190 countries in 2015 to 124 in 2016. This is a sign, he says, that the trade across borders is improving, and the ASICUDA program will provide an enabling environment to bring about further improvements to facilitate legitimate trade.
Worldwide, what customs is doing, they're expending quite a bit of resources in running after the bad guys when it can be done much smarter. So this is what we are here to do, to assist the GRA in having a system that will allow them to work smarter, not necessarily harder. Now, I have nothing against hard work, but I have something against when you are putting in resources after resources and you are getting the same results. It's time for change.
Leonard, a former controller of customs in St. Lucia with 26 years' experience, adds that input from all stakeholders is essential to ensure the program's successful implementation.
The system has grown from merely a custom system to a trade system. It's now a single window that encompasses all trade-related agencies, whether it is health, agriculture, the Port Authority. What it presents is one integrated platform, a single window for all those border agencies, the police as well, to work together within that single platform.
Information Technology Specialist Fabian Joseph also briefed stakeholders. The new system was created and launched in 1981 to assist countries by strengthening customs administrations. It is now used in many Caribbean, Central and South American, North American, Asian, European and Middle Eastern countries. The feasibility study funded by the United Nations will, over the next week, garner information and feedback from the Private Sector Commission, the Ghana Revenue Authority's IT and legal staff, and conclude on January 19 with a presentation. This presentation will determine the proposal to move the systems forward with its implementation. Paul McCallum for the Government News Brief.
Minister with responsibility for housing, Valerie Patterson, says a lack of data prevented the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHNPA, from completing its 2016 work program. Tiffany Rodius reports.
Only 12% of the Central Housing and Planning Authority's CHPA 2016 budget was used up last year. Minister within the Ministry of Communities, Valerie Adams Patterson, says executing the 2016 work program faced many challenges.
Coming into the ministry in January, you had these grandiose plans, only to find out that information, data that is so necessary to inform decision making was absent. And we now had to go out into the fields and do surveys. We had to go into each housing area to see what actually had to be done and now put that information together.
Despite the challenges, Minister Patterson says the CHPA made strides in regularizing squatters.
For 2016, a total of 2,015 house lots were allocated. This achievement is more than 100% of annual target of 1,000 allocations. Also, 221 regularized squatters receive allocation letters of the target of 400 that we had set.
Additionally, a total of 160 persons benefited from the 200 turnkey initiatives, among other minimal achievements. Minister Adams Patterson explains her team has been charged to ensure that all outstanding programs from 2016 are completed in this year.
2016 was not our best year. 2017 cannot and will not be a repeat of 2016. We have a job to do to provide decent, affordable housing for the Guyanese people. We will answer the call of the people, and we will, as far as practicable, work diligently towards fulfilling the demand for housing.
In 2017, the CHPA will be introducing its duplexes and townhouses, as well as low-cost wooden houses for squatting areas. It is regularizing, among other sustainable housing initiatives. For the Government News Brief, I'm Tiffany Rogers.
The Social Protection Ministry will be embarking on a community-based development program to encourage victims of domestic violence to speak out. More from Zanil Williams.
Manager of the Sexual and Domestic Violence Unit in the Ministry of Social Protection, Aquila Doris, says domestic violence has always been a pressing issue in Guyana. Doris says that many victims do not speak out because they are afraid. This new program, she says, will empower them to overcome their fear.
You know, we recognize that community individuals are usually the first responders as it relates to a lot of social issues within their communities. So we want to be able to equip them with the necessary skills, with the necessary knowledge, with the necessary tools so that they can respond. And we just don't want to equip them, we want to empower them in the process, because we would like our communities to take ownership and take a stand against all forms of violence.
Doris notes that domestic abuse often escalates from threats and verbal abuse to violence and undermining the victim's self-worth and self-esteem. Doris says there must be a collaborative approach to address the issue.
We recognize that the work of eradicating all forms of violence, and in particular domestic violence and sexual violence, it's a huge task that no single entity can perform. So we recognize the need to collaborate with our partners. So we would have embarked on several initiatives to start this relationship going.
Doris notes that the program would not eradicate domestic violence immediately. However, it is a start.
It's not going to happen overnight. However, we need to start somewhere, and we have started the ball rolling, and we're hoping for a lot of successes in 2017.
The manager for sexual and domestic violence is optimistic that many victims in various communities will be encouraged to come forward and speak out against domestic violence through this program. I am Zanil Williams for the Government News Brief.
Today is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. It is being observed under the theme, Putting the Right Back into Rights. In a message to mark the day, Minister of Social Protection Amna Ali says human trafficking strips all victims of their right. The right to make their own decisions, the right not to be violated in any form, the right to wages when they work, and the right to communicate freely. She says crime is committed when these rights are violated. She pledged that the government will go after human traffickers.
Victims of this sort of crime are stripped of their right. But I can assure you that we will work to put the right back into the rights guaranteed to all our citizens. As a modern civilized nation, we must reject such inhuman injustice and cruelty. Our government is dedicated to eradicating the scourge of human trafficking from our society and will pursue all perpetrators wherever they operate.
Minister Ali is urging all citizens to join the fight to end the scourge of human trafficking. We have come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on Gina's website. Gina has an active Facebook page, and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Join us tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I am Renetta LaFleur. Thank you for watching.